Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Zero, and this is my first episode of Zero Reviews, a review series where I pretty much just review whatever I come across in my room. Now, for this episode, I'll be taking a look at something I don't have a physical copy of. Now, I'm not using an emulator or anything because I have this game on Steam. And it's the only game you can really only play on Steam. Sure, it has Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, but it's not as immersive as, say, the PC version. But enough of all these hints. We're going to be looking today at Team Fortress 2. I'm Zero, your host for today. Let's get this show on the road. Now, I heard about Team Fortress 2 back in middle school when my coworker Zombie informed me about it, though I didn't get it until it was free to play due to various reasons. But now that that little story's aside, it's time we get into the history of this game because, my god, it's a long history. Its origins are as a regular military game, oddly enough, and its development goes as far back as 1998, if that surprises anyone. In mid-2000, Valve announced that Team Fortress 2's development had been delayed for a second time. They put the news down to development, switching to an in-house proprietary engine that is today known as the Source Engine. It was around that time that all news ran dry, and Team Fortress 2 wouldn't really get any news until, say, July 13th, 2006. Valve during those long years had actually secretly built 3 to 4 different games before settling on the final design. The beta release of the game featured 6 multiplayer maps, of which 3 contained optional commentary by the developers on game design, level design, and character design, and provide more information on the history behind the development. Team Fortress 2 does not attempt the realistic graphical approach used by other Valve games when using the Source engine, such as Half-Life 2, Day of Defeat Source, and Counter-Strike Source. Rather, it uses a more stylized cartoon approach, heavily influenced by early 20th century commercial illustrations. Team Fortress 2 was released October 10, 2007 as both a standalone product via Steam and at retail stores as part of the Orange Box, a game bundle pack priced at each gaming platform's standard price. The package also contained Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2, and Portal. Valve offered the Orange Box at a $5 discount for those who pre-purchased it via Steam before the October 10 release date, as well as the opportunity to participate in the final beta test of Team Fortress 2. For being 5 years old at this point, it certainly does a great job of keeping up with the times, as it is still a popular game today.
Yo, what's up?
The Scout is a fast-talking baseball fan and street runner from Boston, Massachusetts, who practiced running to beat his Mad Dog siblings to the fray. As a result, he is a fast, agile character armed with a scattergun, a pistol, and an aluminum baseball bat. The Scout is capable of performing double jumps and also captures control points and pushes payloads as fast as 2 teammates doing the same. However, the Scout cannot sustain much damage, making bleed and burn ailments very devastating.
I don't even know where to start with you. I mean, do you even know who you're talking to?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What? It was obvious! He's the Red Spy!
The soldier is more durable, but is consequently slower in his speed. A stereotypical, highly patriotic American military man, despite the fact that he was never actually in the army. The soldier is armed with the rocket launcher, shotgun, and shovel for melee combat. The explosion's radius from the rocket launcher can be used to rocket jump to higher positions, similar to the mechanic from the game Quake.
And from that day forward, anytime a bunch of animals are together in one place, it's called a zoo!
final offensive class is a Pyro, a mentally unstable pyromaniac of unknown origin or gender, though I think he's a man. He is completely clad in a fire-retardant suit and a voice-muffling gas mask. The Pyro is armed with a homemade flamethrower as his primary weapon. This can set other players on fire, as well as being able to produce a blast of compressed air that knocks nearby enemies and projectiles away. It can also extinguish friendly players who are on fire, but it really depends on what flamethrower you're using. The Pyro uses a shotgun as its default secondary weapon, but is able to unlock a flare gun to set enemies on fire from afar. And he also uses a fireman's axe for melee combat. The Demo Man is a black one-eyed alcoholic Scotsman, armed with a glass bottle and grenade and sticky bomb launchers. The Demo Man can use his predominantly explosive weaponry to provide indirect fire and set up traps against enemies.
Oh, they're going to have to glue you back together in hell!
I am heavy weapons guy.
The Heavy is a stereotypical Russian character, heavy in both figure and accent, obsessed with his guns to the point of giving them human names and treating them with obvious affection. The Heavy can sustain more damage than any other class, can gain more health or enhance his abilities by eating food like a sandwich or a chocolate bar, and can put out immense amounts of firepower, but is generally the slowest of all the playable classes. His default weapons consist of his own fists, a shotgun, and an enormous minigun that he affectionately refers to as Sasha.
Nom, nom, nom. Hey, look, buddy. I'm an engineer. That means I solve problems.
The Engineer is the last defensive class, portrayed as a relaxed and intellectual good old boy from Texas. The Engineer is capable of building a number of structures to support his team: a tripod sentry gun for defending key points, a health and ammunition dispenser, and a one-way teleporter system. He's armed with a shotgun as his primary weapon, a pistol as a secondary weapon, a wrench for his melee weapon, which is also used to speed up with building, repairing, and upgrading his structures.
Boom. Headshot.
The Sniper is a cheerful Australian Ocker-style character who rationalizes his line of work. Equipped with a laser-sighted sniper rifle to shoot enemies from afar, a submachine gun for close combat, and a kukri for melee attacks.
Yeah, not a crazed gunman, Dad. I'm an assassin. Well, the difference being one has a job and the other's mental sickness.
Anyway, that's how I lost my medical license.
The Medic is a German doctor from Stuttgart with little regard for the Hippocratic Oath, responsible for keeping his teammates alive. The Medic is accordingly armed with a special Medigun to heal teammates, and can make teammates temporarily invulnerable, enhance their firepower, or maximize healing after the Medic's Uber charge is filled to maximum by healing enough damage. The Medic is also equipped with a gas-powered syringe gun and a bone saw to fight if the need ever arises.
Gentlemen,
The last support class, and last class in the game, is the French Deadpan Spy. In addition to a revolver, he's equipped with covert tools such as a temporary cloaking device, disguised as a watch, an electronic sapper to sabotage and potentially destroy enemy engineers' buildings, and a device hidden in his cigarette case that enables him to disguise as other players. The spy can also use his butterfly knife to stab enemies in the back or sides, which instantly kills them.
ma petite chou-fleur.
Gameplay is just what you'd expect from a normal first-person shooter. You can run, jump, crouch, and shoot. Instead of being designated to one person with regular startout gear though, you can choose from the 9 different classes which I just explained. But since I explained the classes already in the character section, let's move on with the game types. Capture the flag. A classic mode where you try to capture the enemy's intelligence and get it back to your base. Control points. Both teams start out with 2 control points and a center point starts out neutral. The team that captures all the control points wins. Then there's attack and defend. Red begins with all the points in their control. Blue wins if they capture all of Red's points. King of the Hill. It focuses on a single control point at the center of the map, which is neutral and locked at the beginning of the round. Teams must make their way to the control point and capture it when it becomes available. Once a point is captured by a team, their team clock will start a 3-minute countdown. Vice versa if the other team gets the control point. Whichever team's countdown goes down first means they win. Payload and payload race. Blue team must escort a cart full of explosives through a series of checkpoints and into Red's base within a certain amount of time. Then payload race is where both teams try to get their carts into each other's checkpoint. There is really no attacking and defending in this game type, just erratic race to the goal, and by game type I mean payload race. Thanks to Pyromania, we got special delivery. In this game mode, an initially neutral briefcase of Australium must be transported to Poopy Joe's rocket before the opposing team can do the same.
Poopy Joe will ride this rocket to the stars!
I know, it makes barely any sense, so I'll make it easy for you to understand. Get the briefcase to the rocket and insert it, then you win.
The game is pretty easy to pick up once you have a handle for the controls. And it's a fun game, but you're probably wondering how could Team Fortress 2 last so long without going stale?
Well, first was making it free to play and giving the people who originally paid for it rewards to keep them going.
Freedom!
As well as making you have to pay for items in the shop, and the dastardly plan of making locked crates and giving those to you when you find them, only for you to realize you have to buy a key. But then, something happened after Pyromania that would change everyone's lives forever. Something that was in works ever since the Engineer update. In a daring move, Valve included a new game mode, Man vs. Machine. A team of up to 6 players attempts to prevent hordes of AI-controlled robots from carrying a bomb into their base. Players can purchase upgrades for their weapons using in-game currency called credits. When one player collects a money pile, it is divided equally amongst the players. Between waves of robots, the players may have a chance to upgrade their weapons at an upgrade station inside the base using money. They may also upgrade abilities for their current class. As much as I'd love to talk about this, it would take up just all of the review. Since it has a lot of content in it, I guess I'll make a special episode, because, you know, there's a whole bunch of strategy to discuss, and a whole bunch of different key features to discuss. I mean, it's kind of like they made a mini-game inside of a game. In terms of presentation, Team Fortress 2 is very vibrant, and I'm talking really vibrant, as areas that look dull and bland with brown and gray are given life with Team Fortress 2 posters, spray paint, and just a nice color that makes them feel vibrant considering they're just brown or gray. Graphically speaking, it's amazing that this game's 5 years old and still looks good today. The classes are all unique and don't blend into each other, unless you're the spy. As well as not all scouts or engineers look the same. You're able to upgrade your weapons, make their clothes look different, and give them fun hats to wear. I mean, with this kind of customization, not all people will look the same. Overall, it's this kind of style that appeals to me the most, more than games like Call of Duty or Battlefield. I still have a soft spot for Halo, but only because that game actually feels like you're doing something different, considering you've got all this alien stuff around you. But that's neither here or there. Every class has their own music piece, as well as several other pieces of music that complement the series. Oddly enough, the goofy and serious themes fit the game well, and a few of them you'll hear during this video. I will admit that this game has some of the catchiest tunes I've ever heard, one of my favorites being the trailer music for Man vs. Machine, and the final wave music of Man vs. Machine. Overall, I think this is a better shooting game than most games in this genre, for several reasons. It has a great soundtrack, it's very colorful and animated, the characters are goofy and more likable than any FPS soldier I've seen. It stands apart from the other Valve shooters, and it is very easy to pick up and have fun with. Now, for this review series, I don't rate games on a scale of 1 to 10, I usually just tell you if you should try it out or not. My opinion on this game, now that I said that, is that any of you who haven't played this game should go and play it. Sure, you have to download it, and it's a big game to download, but it's a great game for having no price point. Go and get it if you have the chance.
I'm Zero from A Work in Progress, and I'll be seeing you next time when we review Kingdom Hearts 2. If you had to ask me what my favorite classes were, I'd probably say Pyro, Soldier, and Demo Man.